Hello everyone, happy Monday. Hope you've all had a great weekend and welcome to another Adobe Live. And you'll find us here every weekday between 12 and 1 UK time. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, that is just fine, of course. But if you want to ask questions and get involved in the community, then the chat on YouTube won't be the one you're looking for. You need to make your way to behance.net/Adobe Live, and that's where you can really get involved. Now, I'll give a shout out to a few people in a moment, but first of all, I'd really like to introduce today's guest, Vivek Vadoliya. How are you doing, Vivek?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's fantastic to have you here. Now, just before we get rolling, let me just say hello to a few of the people in the chat that we've got today. So we've got Julia. Hi, Julia. We've got Sandrine. We've got Jackie, Caroline, Oliver, Steve joining us from New Zealand. Amazing that Steve does that. Late sleepies. Robert, we've got Stuart. We've got loads of other people. Sean as well. Hello, Sean. Guten Tag. Yep. Plenty. So I'm Valoid here as well, also, and Angus. Perfect. Great to have you here. Don't forget, if you want to ask questions today of our guests, then that's where you need to pose them, and I'll make a note and come back. And also, hi, Andreas. So, Vivek, for the community and everybody watching, give us the 2-minute intro into who you are and what you do.
Of course, yeah. So I'm a London-based photographer and director. I mostly work within portraiture, documentary, been filmmaking for a few years now. I studied photography, but I ended up working in advertising for a while and then got into my own sort of practice, which I've been developing over the last 3 to 4 years.
Oh, cool. You went to Notts Trent, didn't you?
I did, yes.
We're doing great on the Notts people in here. I lived in Nottingham for about 11 years. We're doing great on the Notts people in here recently. It's really good.
It's a great city. It's a great city to study in.
It is a great city. Fantastic. Yeah. So recently, we've had the Adobe Stock Film Festival, in which you took part, and of course are one of the featured finalists. Now, people may have seen this. Jason Levine had a thing on this last week live. He had a show around it. It was on the German stream today as well, I believe, with my great friend Julia talking about that. So you've got an entry in there, which is absolutely fantastic. The portal. Yeah. So how did that come about? How did you get involved in that?
I saw the project was happening, and I wrote a proposal. I was kind of at the start of lockdown, so it was kind of a bit of a fluctuating time for us all. I was reading quite a lot of articles, like reading the news quite a lot, and just in sort of stressed out, anxious sense of reading and understanding what was going on in the world. I sort of read Arundhati Roy's piece and put this proposal together to make this film called The Portal.
It's so the whole thing with the film festival this year is it's all stock footage, right? And there's no cameras involved. No,
exactly.
So make something, but from your own place.
Yeah, that was really interesting doing that as well, because I'm normally used to making stuff that, making imagery myself. So it was nice to work with other people's imagery. Yeah,
it's interesting, right? I've seen some amazing things with it, not least of which is yours, which is absolutely fantastic. Do you think that it would be an idea for everybody to take that in and then we'll carry on chatting from there?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's have a look. Here it is, The Portal.
West winds 5 to 15 miles an hour. And for Monday, mostly cloudy in the morning, then becoming mostly sunny. Patchy fog in the morning. Highs in the 50s to upper 60s. West wind
50s. Amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And it is so optimistic about the future. I think it's just fantastic. Really fantastic.
Yeah.
So talk us through the process for actually building that work. I mean, how much research went into finding the footage you needed? How?
I think it was like, I think I sort of approached it more in line with how I do a photography project more than a film project in a sense, which would involve like loads of mood boarding. But I guess with this, the mood boarding was kind of what was going to end up in the film. So I spent a lot of time on the stock library, just kind of saving images I thought were interesting, and just sort of, I had a good idea of what I was trying to do before I went into the library in terms of like how I wanted to structure it. I had like 3 areas, which was this sort of sense of where we're at right now, then the actual portal journey, and then something a bit more beautiful afterwards and optimistic. So I just started saving images from the stock library that felt that worked with each 3 of those parts. Built selects and started making some timelines that kind of built those moods for each of the sections.
Fantastic. And of course the sound there, the sound is a really big part of actually stitching all of that together, right? And it's fantastic. And so that was from the new stuff from Epidemic, wasn't it?
Exactly.
in as part of Adobe stock, which
and I think I used to make music, so I kind of have a good idea, and I love working with composers and kind of getting stuck into that. So again, it was nice to sort of, I used quite a bit of different audio from different parts of the library, and also layered up a lot of sort of ambient sounds, which I structured to kind of give it a bit more oomph in certain sections, I guess.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really good. I read this morning, actually, just not that I'm trying to market that at the moment. I'm just trying. It's just amazing that already 36,000 audio clips split apart into that. It's just crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a lot of audio. You must have been really specific when you were searching through it. Surely you must.
Yeah, I think learning how to keyword it and find even just composers and stuff that are good, and just listening to their libraries, and it definitely took a bit of navigating, but there was a lot of good stuff on there.
Done though. It's really good. Really well done. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So the pandemic is a portal, that piece of writing that you used from that? Where did you find that? Because obviously this must be a very, very new work.
Yeah, it was one of Arundhati Roy's newest works. She wrote it at the start of the year where it's going to be published as her own book, but this part of it was published in the FT towards the start of lockdown. And I sort of read that. It was a bit of a long read, but then the last paragraph really struck with me, which she talks about the pandemic being a portal into a new place.
That's great, and I love the way that the place that it's heading through to is so bright and so optimistic.
Yeah,
I think everybody's hoping for that at the moment, that we've had a chance
definitely
to really put the lens on ourselves, the way we live and the way we function as societies, and to want change in that, I think is
exactly. So yeah, that's what I kind of hope to the film, that people kind of look at themselves a little bit and just it's got that sort of emotional feeling to it.
No, it's great. Absolutely great. The community are loving it as well. They are. And a couple of questions, I think, mainly around just a couple just at the moment right in front of me around if Rufus had a nice holiday, which is really good, which of course he did. But Julia is asking how you go about making your storyboards.
I think for this film I had a good idea of what I wanted. And a lot of the stuff that I was looking for in the stock library, I felt like I wanted it to connect with the stuff I make and would use a camera to record and make anyway. So I looked for images that I felt like kind of are similar to my style. So when it came to storyboarding, I used a few of my own images, but then also started pulling from the stock library and then started building, I guess, a PDF so I could kind of start structuring it. And also, I don't know if it's useful for me to share my screen on my Premiere.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Show how I make selects.
You can do that with the magic of Tim. There you go.
There you go. So you can kind of see like how I would make selects. So I'd go into Chrome, and I'd search the library and find images that I like and give them a little heart just to add them to my library. And then once you go into Premiere, you can kind of see that they all appear here.
Yeah.
And I've sort of, when I normally make selects, I'll always pop everything that I think is a contender onto my timeline and then have it all there. So it's always just there as a reference point. And I always use labels on the top here. So I can kind of like start tracking different elements of what the story's going to be. So I knew it was going to be like a very 3-part structure. So it's the portal, Act 1 and Act 2, and then a couple of other like scenes that I would have thought could be part of the film, but ended up getting cut. But then I would just collect images and then little sections of the clips that I'd like. I always just pull up onto the second sequence there, so you can kind of see the things that I was interested in using in the clips, and then really quickly you start sort of building an idea of what the timeline of the story is going to be based on the clips that you've found and you like using.
Perfect. What I really like about that is you don't have to commit at that point. You can just work with the sort of placeholder footage, as it were. And
exactly.
If it works, you just go ahead, license it. Really good. Just while we're here, by the way, I've got.
Yeah, it makes it so easy to just try things. I was going to say, it just makes it so easy to try things out really quickly because it's, there's a lot to work with, and it's difficult to get everything really narrowed down, but you can just try things out really quickly, which is great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's just while you're there, I just for the community who've not seen it before, this is a fairly new addition to Premiere. On the right hand side of Vivek's workspace here, you can see the essential sound panel, which is a nice more simplified approach to editing sound, but you've also got these access to these libraries here, which you can search through, and you can find things by genre, as you can see there, by mood, and you've got different filters that you can turn on as well. So it's really, really handy. And of course, because if you've got Creative Cloud Complete, you've got access to Premiere. So why don't you have a look and check that out? No, this is a busy looking timeline that you've got going on there. So
that's
how long did this take?
I think the mood boarding side of it and the select side of it was probably the main bulk of it, like two days, I think, on that. Just kind of like going through the archive, and then maybe a bit longer. And then the next part of it was just, I have to say, I feel like I'm quite quick at editing because it's very instinctual for me, kind of know what I want to do. And I had a good idea of what I was trying to achieve beforehand on this. Yeah. So the actual editing side of it was quite quick. It was then just about refining the cut. So I've got, I can show you how I normally work here. One second. Project. Here we go. So I normally set up this structure on the left hand side. So sequences, rushes, music. So always have folder for selects and then edit. So I've made 5 edits on this. So it's always just about getting your idea down first, then refining over a selection of different edits. So I guess we'll go to the main one in the end. It ended up the first, well, we go from the first one as well, so you can see that. The first one ended up being like quite a long 3-minute film, and then the final ones ended up being just over 2 minutes. So just really about like refining, cutting down, trying things out. But I think that whole process probably took about 3 days to get that from first edit to the 5th edit.
So kind of like around the 80-20 rule, really. 80% of that, of the labor going into selecting that stuff and organizing it, and then 20% just stitching it together.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Really great to be able to see that.
Yeah, and I've used a lot of different audio layers here. You can see as well, which quite like mixing stuff together. And I think there's a sort of sense of, there's quite like a rich sound bed throughout the whole thing, including over the music. I've definitely played on with layers and cut the tracks up, so almost remixed the tracks myself.
It's kind of like sound design, would you say? That's
exactly. Yeah, definitely.
No, so that for the visual amongst us, of course, that's that dimension that you've got to work with. So some of us here used to, of course, mixing with color and mixing with shapes and mixing with forms and layouts, whereas this is the same thing, just with sound. So I mean, obviously there are technical complexities, but you know, it is essentially the same thing. But I love layered sound. Definitely. I really love it. Really. So no, let's have a look and see if we've got any more questions just on here at the moment. People are loving this though. They're saying fantastic.
Cool.
It really enjoying it. Oh, and Kirsty's here now. Hello, Kirsty. Let's have a quick look. Oh, there's a lot to scan through. People drawing as well at the same time. Just looking at these. No, I think actually we might be good for the questions just at the moment, unless I scroll back much further. But nobody wants to sit here and watch me scroll. Shall we have a look at some of your other work as well while you're here? Let's get a bit of background on you. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Shall I put that on?
Tim might have stuff queued up if yours isn't behind you.
Shall I queue it up or?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah. I think you had some in the browser. I think. Did you? Have it ready?
Yeah, I've got my film Color, which is a documentary I made.
Is this the one Tim was going to play? I think so.
Yeah, does Tim got it ready?
I think so.
Cool.
So if you have Tim, if you wouldn't mind.
There we go.
Who are you?
Really and truly answer, I don't know. But nearest answer, I may be tiny little glitter from the whole ocean of spirit. So that's what I am. Harmony, hope, happiness. not fanatic about any religion. Fanatic about true divine love. In my eyes, all human are equal, even look different, but whoever loves is the same anyway. The taste of life is the same anyway. Freedom, desire, peace and love. When we see the car, it seems the car was speaking to me. You should take me. I want to fly with you. It's maybe divine spoken to me. It said, you can't do nothing yourself. I have to help you. So the car came to help me. The car is actually another body for me. This is extension of what I'm wearing on the car. It's become art of London. That's where I got enlightened. Recently, I think Soho becoming for me like temple. And that sort of like start giving me more help. So I maybe belongs to there more than anywhere else. Wherever I go, people give me so much positiveness. It's so beautiful. Life is very simple and get complicated when you're not looking within yourself and looking after more and running after which thing is not even important in life. You're born to be colorful. You're not born to be miserable. You're born to shine. Love yourself and love around you. Spread the happiness and learn the happiness.
Is there anything that you want to add to that?
There's so much more.
Amazing. Really? Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
Wow.
an interesting one making that film. I think a lot of my work is always like, I always find the characters first, at least, for personal work at least. And then sort of decide if I want to make a film or or do some photography. But with Color, he kind of came, I was walking down the high street and I sort of discovered him going, I think he was just kind of close to an ATM or something. And I just was obviously very interested in what he had to say, and I had a chat with him. It took me about 6 months to be able to get access and sort of make that film, with like many conversations with him to get to know him. And then we shot that film in I guess in an evening. I think it was ended up being about 6 hours. We ended up shooting with him. And yeah, I interviewed him a few times to try and get the audio, but it was quite a fun process to make, because it was one of those ones where the actual shooting part of it was almost the easiest part. The time that went into finding the character was the part that took a long time.
He's amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Does it go?
If you're based in London, you might see him around Soho. He's always in Soho every day.
Just incredible. And that car, that is just amazing. I love the colours and the culture of India. It's just such a brilliantly vibrant place. And some of my friends are in the chat at the moment who are in India. We were all in India and Rufus together last year, and it's just an incredible place. Incredible. But
so vibrant,
just amazing. Stuart is saying he'd love to sit with Vivek and soak up some of the shooting tips. Really, really good. It's just they want to know who makes Color's clothes. Quoting,
he's got a couple of his. He makes some of them himself, and he gets some of them made in India.
Just amazing. Siobhan's saying she loves the way that that's been captured. Let's see, really evokes emotion. No, really enjoyed that. Sandrine saying the music is astounding. The sound with the echo goes really well with it. Again, that's an element of design, I take it, from the way that you
I think it sort of references, I don't know, when I was growing up, at least anyway, like my grandma would be listening to all of these sort of gurus on her Indian channels, and they have this really echoey microphone that they always use, and I wanted to kind of capture that and with him, so I added loads of reverb and effects onto his voiceover to be able to get that sort of feeling.
Fantastic, really fantastic.
Yeah.
Shall we take a look at another piece of your work, maybe some of your photographic work?
Yeah, I've got
so maybe the piece from the face with the ebony.
Yeah, I've got that loaded up on my screen here. But yeah, again, I always look for characters first, and with this project, I discovered that there was a girl called Khadija who was riding at this place called the Ebony Horse Club, which is in Brixton, London, which is, again, for people who don't know London very much, is quite inner part of southeast London. And they all ride in this incredible club. Khadija was one of the first people. She'd only been riding for a year, but she was one of the first people to win quite a major race in the UK in a hijab. So I sort of found the club and her through that, and I approached the club and spent a couple of afternoons there and shot some of the kids who ride in that stable. Yeah. So spent, again, it was like the actual shooting part of it was quite relaxed. It was kind of just getting to know them, which was just the part that took like a lot of time, I guess. The kids some of them were very shy, but they all sort of came alive when they were on horses, and they really, they go there like 3 or 4 times a week, so it's become like another family for them. Let's see.
But there is something, right, in having a connection with another creature, be that a horse or a dog or even fish in a tank, right? It's having that connection with a living thing other than yourself. Oh, I think you might have frozen just there. Or is it me? No? Tim, do we still have Vivek? Oh. Just wait for a moment. Oh, no, we can now. Fantastic. We just lost you for a moment there.
Great.
Well, that's good. Welcome back.
Yeah, no idea what happened. I was just going to say, yeah, definitely. I think for a lot of these kids, like they're not able to maybe have access to riding horses. It's, you know, it can be an expensive thing to be doing. So that to have access to do that, a lot of them have, you know, come from sort of poor backgrounds, but when they're on the horses, they sort of come alive and they get the chance to kind of relax and spend that time just with the horse, and it kind of relaxes a lot of their anxieties.
It's just amazing. And actually somebody's just picked up on this, Jane has picked up on this as well, that the fact that they've got that lovely calm environment just there, but it's juxtaposed with the big buildings in the background, so you can see how it is an island in the middle of a very different sea.
Exactly. I think that sort of juxtaposition of them with the buildings in the background was amazing. I want to show you this project as well, which is again a bit of a character study we did in Bradford. Which
I
is
love
again,
this one.
Yeah, which is the north of UK, in Yorkshire. It's where David Hockney was from. But we spent about a week in Bradford shooting this project, and it was a bit of a fashion portrait series. So we worked with a designer called Ashish and worked with his collection, his archive, and we spent the time casting people in the city and dressing them in his clothes, but also just celebrating different characters that they were around there. So this is Saf, who's a hijabi boxer. She's only 17 years old, but has been in quite a few fights. So she was just an incredibly powerful character in the city. This is Ramesh, who's a 75-year-old Indian classical dancer. Again, it was really interesting. He's about to have a hip replacement surgery, but
Wow.
he hasn't been dancing for a few years right now, but he sort of came alive when he got the opportunity to be in the shoot.
He's
But it was
definitely
really nice just to
channeling. Sorry, go on.
As I said, it was just nice to be able to spend time with people and get to know them. Again, it was the getting to know them part of it, which took a lot of time, and then kind of the shooting part of it was very quick. But just getting to know them all was the fun part of it.
Yeah, definitely channeling Hanuman there, I think.
Yes,
the, Hindu
definitely.
gods. Yeah,
100%. This was a local crew of boys who made grime music in the city. So it's quite like a mix of sort of younger and older people in the whole. This is part of the grime crew as well. She's a vocalist, and he's. They were going out. I think they might not be at the moment, but they were very animated when we were shooting them. We're very up for being shot in their neighborhood. But I kind of like the juxtaposition of like where they live, capturing Bradford in that way, and then kind of who they are as well, and just kind of using the clothing to draw that out a lot. This was a friend of mine's next door neighbor. She bought these two dogs quite a few years ago now, and they're sort of her protectors. But they're absolutely enormous, and she can barely control them. But they're amazing characters.
big dogs.
Yeah,
Lovely, really lovely.
So yeah, quite a mix. So we got like he's a care worker in the local town. He works with kids with like mental health issues. So it's really about getting people from all different walks of life in the city.
Amazing. Yeah. There we go.
He's great. Yeah, I think that's the full selection. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the business, as it were? How long have you been working now?
I guess I've been doing it myself for about just under 4 years now.
Yeah.
But I've been going on my own. And that's been a bit of a process to kind of find out what I'm trying to do in my personal work. So that's been ticking over some years. But I think the last couple of years I've been doing a lot more personal work and spending a lot more time on that side of my practice.
Because weren't you in an ad agency before? Was that where you were before?
Yes, I was working as advertising, doing as a producer. So I was doing all the budgeting side of it, but I also got the opportunity to be on set and make films with people, and also do work with photography sets as well. So I sort of learned a lot about that element of production through that. And then once I sort of ended up wanting to work on my own personal practice, I just started shooting a lot more in the last 4 years, and that's what's really defined my personal practice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to the film festival just for a minute.
Cool.
I want to find out, if you had to pick a movie that you'd like to show today, which of I think there are 13 movies, I think, in total, which would you choose? Which would be your choice?
I really liked, was it Classified it was, and then also How to Be a Creative. I thought that was really great. So How to Be a Creative, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. I think Tim, through the magic of Timness, can we show How to Be Creative, Tim?
How to be creative.
Where should we start?
Step 1, delete social media. People waste 36 days a year on social media.
That's a lot of time. Step 2, get a fresh notebook. When that moment of inspiration strikes,
you'll be ready. Step 3, start brainstorming. What if... No.
What if...
What if there is a train?
And it goes to a small town.
Okay, that's a start. What else happens?
And the story's about a girl.
Who smokes?
I like it. Strong female lead.
No, smoking's bad.
Okay, it's about a pilot, and they flew somewhere to the...
Sorry, I gotta send this text. Okay, what did you say?
Step 4, eliminate distractions.
Put down the phone.
Should we pivot?
Maybe a woman has an affair with a butcher.
Scandalous. Ooh.
Let's keep this PG.
Fine.
Step 5, take a coffee break. What happens next?
Oh, is that a bug on the wall?
Step 6, focus.
Focus.
Stop what you're doing and focus.
I got it. Step 7, write a how-to video.
I like that
Nice.
one too.
Yeah, it's funny.
I do like that. It's really,
Yeah.
really good. We'll see if we can squeeze in a couple more
Cool.
before the end. So, did you want to show us any other projects, by the way, just while we're here? I'll see if I can find some cues for you. Don't forget, people, you can ask your questions via the chat here on behance.net/Adobe Live. And also, it's worth mentioning at this point that it doesn't have to end when the live stream ends. You can join us on our Discord, and Tim will be popping that into the chat, so you can go ahead and get ready to chat just there. It gets very busy sometimes, really good. So anyway, right, let's have a look. Let's see, what are we going to see now?
I've got one of my more fashion projects, I guess, which I shot at the start of the year. But again, it's kind of more documentary focused. So it was the inspiration for this shoot was based on like childhood trips to the beach when I was growing up. So the story is kind of about 3 boys who are at the beach in Margate. Oh, second quick. It's like a sort of lazy afternoon on the beach. But again, it's kind of drawing from a lot of points when I would always go to the beach with my cousins. And we'll spend like a whole day out there, and sort of bringing in a fashion element into that story as well. So you can see a bit of the mix of the imagery coming up now. So it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's also more like images that are a little bit more about the clothing. But again, kind of, it's about sort of building some characters here as well. So definitely like referencing some of the more cheekier moments that I had with my cousins, like going to the little arcades and stuff as well. Yeah, that's kind of
Ooh,
a mix of that project.
these are cool. So what?
Yeah.
Margate actually is an interesting part of the country, isn't it? That
It is.
It's had a lot of money,
Have
a
you
lot of
been before?
regeneration. I have, but not for a long time. I got offered a job there about 15 years ago, and just it wasn't the place to go about 15 years ago. Someone was starting a studio. They said, there's going to be loads of money put into Margate. And I said,
there's just loads of arts institutions there, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
All the galleries and stuff there, so it's really beautiful art scene there.
Yeah, a friend of mine owns a gallery there. Actually, I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but he does own a gallery there because his ex-wife was a ceramicist, and she used to show her work there. So it's always who you know, isn't it? That's the
definitely.
thing. But no, it is an interesting place. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's kind of that project, and I've got I guess I wanted to show you something that's a little bit more so this project here was I kind of like shooting my portraits, is where I like started my practice really. It's always about people, so this is something that's a little bit more stripped back, but it's a series of portraits I created for an exhibition which is all about British Asian masculinity. So it was 9 portraits that were prints that were on the wall. And it was a very simple setup of me just setting up a studio background, one light, getting to know these people. Some of them which were my friends, but some of them are also just people that I thought looked really interesting. And we shot it in a day, and it's kind of a diverse range of different masculinities within British Asian culture, I guess. So got a range of portraits here.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bit of that portrait. But yeah, I like working in the studio a lot as well. So it's I like being on set and spending time with community. So that's like with the stuff with Ebony and what I did with Bradford. It's kind of being on the ground, but I also really like just having people in my space and just doing something very simple and clean as well. It's a bit of, gets two sides of my practice.
Oh, that's good. So when did you first move into the moving image then, or is that something that's gone alongside your photographic work? How did that come about?
I think I sort of started moving. I didn't do moving image when I was at university. I studied photography, but I didn't do moving image. I think I sort of got into moving image when I realized that my DSLR could achieve quite a lot. And I think it was a sort of time when like the first 5Ds were kind of really coming out and people were going crazy about what you could achieve on them. And I just started shooting some small bits and cutting some clips together. And I didn't really know anything about Premiere, but I just started using Premiere and learning some basic tools. And that's kind of something I was doing maybe 7 or 8 years ago, very poorly, I'd say probably. But now I kind of shoot a little bit myself, but I also work with DOPs quite a bit. And I think that's what's really helps me with my practices. Again, working with really talented editors, learning with talented DOPs, and just kind of having this incredible footage to be able to cut together. And that's what was so great about this stock footage festival as well, because I got the chance to do everything myself again. And it's quite rare to be able to have the opportunity to do that, because often projects I'm working with quite a lot of people, collaborating with lots of people. But it was nice to be able to do everything myself. But I'd say I've been making documentaries for about 3 or 4 years, and there's a range of sort of more like advertising projects that are intertwined with that. But then there's stuff that I like. I could go into communities and just spend some time there and make a film.
Yeah. So did you find the move into documentary work completely alien to your world of advertising work? Did you find that it informed you in the way that you structure shots or the way that you sequence footage? Did you find it useful, or did you find it something that you just no longer needed?
I found it useful in the business side of making a documentary, in the talking with people, the funds and all of that side of things. I found it not useful in the sense of advertising work has sort of, I'm here to sell this sneaker. I've got 30 seconds, 60 seconds I've got your attention for that long. I need to work within those parameters and make my own message really clear. But I think with documentary filmmaking, it's a lot slower. And I did have a sort of phase where I had to like almost unlearn the rules of advertising and sort of figure out who I was as an artist and what I was trying to achieve. Why am I framing something in that sense of, I'm not trying to sell a sneaker, I'm not trying to sell like a garment. So is this really the best way to capture this person? And that's where sort of my portraiture background sort of comes in a little bit more there, where I kind of got the opportunity to dig a bit deeper and get to know people, spend time with them. Whereas in advertising context, you don't normally get that. You've got someone for a few hours a day, you're there to, there's a common goal of what you're trying to achieve there. Yeah.
I found when I was watching the color thing that we saw a little while ago.
Yeah.
That is a portrait, but it's a portrait extended through the medium of time.
Yeah.
It's still a portrait. It is still,
Yeah, that's why that's what I think film is. It was a natural progression for me, and I realized I'm sort of knowing a little bit about the film industry, but then that was kind of one of my first things. I'd say I'd probably done like the first time I'd done like a portrait film like that. But it was a really fun process because it was just a series of my own portraits kind of put together with a voiceover, and that's like, it felt very natural as an extension to something that was that I've shot in the past as a stills project.
I always think photographers make excellent filmmakers because they have an eye for they make great cinematographers as well, I think. Once they expand that. Just a couple of things from the chat. Let's just have a quick look. Tim thinks that I may have been offered the job in Margate after my Madonna background dancer gig.
Amazing. Want to know more about
There is no more about that. It's just another one of my things. It's just alternate careers comes up with, which is just fantastic. Lots of people loving Margate, and Sandrine is remarking on the fact that Turner lived there in Margate.
Yeah, there's got the Turner Contemporary there. Yeah,
I did not know that. But no, it's got a great community there. We could in a minute have a look at how you go about editing your photography. Now, is it Lightroom or Photoshop? Is it?
Yeah, it's Lightroom.
Lightroom.
Use. Yeah.
Classic or CC?
I've got Classic.
Classic. Sorry, I'm just random questions that I've got. Go on.
Yeah, I don't know why I've used Classic, but I don't know, it felt familiar, but I haven't got into using CC yet. But Classic just kind of works for me, so I've kind of kept doing it. Yeah.
Do you ever try any mobiography? Do you ever try shooting from your phone? Do you ever try any of that?
I do sometimes, yeah. I shoot most of my snaps on my iPhone, but I've also got a couple of small like shoot cameras, which I have the sort of feature where I can connect them straight to my phone and edit images on my phone. So I've used Lightroom on my phone a few times.
Let's just wait a second. Vivek will be back with us in just a moment. Okay, well, just while we wait for Vivek to come back to us, by the way, a few people have mentioned about the link, the original link for the Adobe Stock Film Festival. That one expired because, of course, this would have happened a little earlier in the year. But the new link has been generated. Tim's popped that into the chat, and you can find it at designninja.tv/Adobe Stock Film Fest, just there. So if you go to that link, then you can access the content there. I'm hoping that Vivek will be back with us in a second. While we wait, however, let's just go ahead and have a look at one of the other movies that he really liked from the film festival, Classified. We'll take a look at that, and we're back with you in just a moment or two.
Hello?
Activities and call 911 for immediate response. Expect delays.
Fabulous. That was actually Sweet Escape that we had just there, by the way, which was one of my favourites on the colours used in it. It was absolutely brilliant. I really liked it, and it was
really nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. Maybe if we get a chance, we'll get classified in before the very end. But welcome back, Vivek. Glad you managed to make it back. No, these things happen.
Yeah.
It's all fine. It's not like a perfect studio setup. We're all good. So, right, I think we were going to take a look at some of your work and maybe process in Lightroom, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is a project I'm working on right now. It's an ongoing project about these kids in Mumbai who do this sport called Malakam, and they suspend their bodies in the sky on totem poles and these ropes. But I wanted to show you, these are some digital images I kind of shot for the project. So it's, I kind of, work making sequences a lot of my work. So something that's kind of, I'm trying a lot more in my work is how can I make my stills projects more moving, and how can I make my moving projects a little bit more like my photography. So I like kind of working in sequences like this, for example, where you can see like almost an action that's going on in that. So like I can present that in that sort of way. But I think with my Lightroom, I like to, I work with a lot of presets that I've made beforehand, and I just have like lots of different color presets, which I kind of I guess I've made beforehand, and I can just make adjustments, and that can be my starting point for an edit. And then I like how on Lightroom you can just work on many images at the same time, so you can just create a certain look, and then you can sync them across a bunch of images. But that's always how I'd edit a project after I've shot it, and then I would work on them a bunch of images very quickly, and then I'd go into them and then do very more select changes, and if there's any more like particular retouching I need to do, I go into Photoshop and then rework the images to get them really like perfect. And I love how on it you can just kind of batch process a bunch of stuff and just export them very quickly. So I think in terms of, but like the thing I use probably the most is Lightroom is so quick and efficient. I just use it for most of my editing, to be honest.
So good. So Kirsty is asking, it's a good question actually. What camera do you still use Nikon? Yeah.
I use a combination. I've got a small sort of point and shoot Ricoh camera. Yeah. And I've got a Canon 5D, which I actually don't use at all.
Sorry, you did say it was a 5D actually. Yeah, Canon. Sorry, my bad.
I don't use that one as much, but I use that now and then. But I also use a couple of film cameras. So I've got a medium format camera and a small Contax point and shoot camera as well. And that's kind of, I guess, my 4 cameras that I normally go to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look. I did see Steve, who joins us from New Zealand, as I mentioned before.
Cool.
Amazing that you're up this late, Steve. I don't think you ever sleep. I've seen you on the US streams as well. But he's once saw an aerial dance group in Seattle in 1996. I wouldn't possibly know. Called Doctors of Bandaloop.
Wow.
So cool, apparently.
Amazing.
Crazy, just crazy. So, people enjoying all of the movies from the film fest so far. Don't forget, people, you can watch Vivek's movie again there on the YouTube playlist. Just follow the link that Tim's dropped into the chat earlier, and probably will again in a moment. And all of the other entries, they're all there. They are well worth you taking a look at. There's some really good stuff. As I said, we'll try and get one more in. We've got about 7 minutes to go, and I think we'll try and squeeze in one more just before we wrap up. But we'll just carry on with Vivek for a moment through talking about Lightroom. So
cool. I'm going to show you, let me see what else I've got here. This side. Show you a few more because I shoot a lot of film as well. There's a bit of a mixture of techniques that use that.
Yeah.
So I've got like more of my scans here, which I work with an external scanner and bring them into Lightroom, and then kind of add curves and process them through that, and then go into Photoshop a lot more to do a lot more of the minute retouching. But it's a very similar process to to working with digital files as well, but the scans are just quite a bit of a process to bring into Lightroom to get them looking really nice. But you kind of see, just kind of work with doing all my adjustments on the side there. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've seen in looking through your work over the last few days and today. There's a lot of warmth in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of your shots are really nice and very, very warm.
Yeah.
And if they're not warmth in terms of the tonality, there seems to be some sort of warmth in the way you've approached the subject.
Yeah.
You're a very connected person, I feel. You know, you're very socially aware, obviously, but you've got I think there's a lot of empathy in what you do. Would you say that was a fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think always, it's all about that conversation you have with that person as well, and just that connection and just getting to know them before you spend time photographing them. Because I think you always get a more interesting image once you've done that.
No, it comes across. It comes for me very clearly, and I think actually a couple of other people in the chat are saying the same thing. Kirsty's saying she loves the colours in your images, and Stuart's saying I was thinking that, and I'm assuming that he's going along with what I'm saying. And a scanner for photos. What's the chance? Says Gareth. There you go. So it's good to see.
Yeah.
I think. Shall we take? Do you want to show anything else in Lightroom, or shall we just see if we can take a quick look at Classified, which was another one of your favorites? How do you
take a look at that film, I reckon.
Okay, Tim, if we can spin that up, that would be great, and then we'll back to you in just a few minutes.
Cool.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Do I need to be extra professional?
No, you don't need to be extra professional. You just need to be you. So let's talk about labels.
Let's do that. Do you want me to start my tangent now, or you have specific questions?
No, start it now.
When I hear the word label, it feels negative.
Labels help you understand things and make sense of things in your mind. Not all labels are bad.
When I hear labels, it's not altruistic for me. You know, maybe that is defensive, but it's just informed by a lot of life experience.
I think labels are important shortcuts, but I also think that people need to push themselves beyond their automatic thoughts and assumptions of those labels.
Like if something is blue, right? There's many shades of blue. When I said the color blue, you thought of a certain shade and I thought of a certain shade, but it's still blue.
There's a box around being labeled gay. It's a small part of who I am. It doesn't make the whole picture, but as soon as you assign yourself that gay label, people assume the whole picture.
That's how we create meaning, is in our language. But then at what point does the language stop being meaning and start being a hindrance?
I personally hate labels, right? I hate it to the point where I purposely try to be as ambiguous as possible when it comes to letting people know some of my background, because I just want them to look at me as me versus looking at me as this guy who does this one thing.
Whether we accept or reject labels, we're still impacted by them.
There's a word for that. It's like a stereotype effect, I think, where you know you have a stereotype against you and it has an effect on your performance and behavior.
If you're categorized a certain way, then you take on the characteristics of that category. You feel like you're associated with the characteristics of that category.
You know, where I grew up in New Orleans, I knew that in that perimeter of where Black people were, I could go anywhere. At the same time, I knew my brother could not. As soon as he got 3 or 4 blocks from home, he was going to be stopped and frisked. That was a story that he had to live with. I'm less than. You are a criminal.
It becomes self-fulfilling. You're told it enough times, you start to buy into it. It can be weaponized.
It's interesting. Now this is starting to get a little bit deep. I'm going to get my feel. If the intention is good, I think it can be a good thing, right?
I guess I would argue that intention is a non-factor, because I don't care what you meant.
It's important what you said and how it made me feel. And the impact that your words have are more important than what you thought they would have.
You can't thrust a label onto someone that they don't want. And then if that's the only thing that you want to label them, you need to like ask yourself why.
Oh, so like, what are you? Like, are you a lesbian? Are you gay? Are you transgender? Like, and you can't switch it up ever in your life, or you're nuts.
I may not necessarily like what someone else labels me as, but that has everything to do with them and their perspective, but that does not define who I am, unless I let it.
Do you think that we as a society could ever exist without labels?
So Singapore is, in a socialist country like this where they try to make everyone like equal. No one has labels, but nobody can really express themselves.
So in both ways, it's still kind of like it has the effect of suppression. Yeah, like
Labels are so important. They can keep us running in the same place for years if we allow them to. And at the same time, they have the ability to be the key to humanizing the world. Why not shift the tool?
Use them for good.
Something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hope and faith in the generations that are coming behind us. I think the trajectory is only up.
There's so much to unpack, and I feel like people so rarely have this conversation.
I'm so happy when you asked me, because I know there's going to be some type of revelation.
You got my wheels turning.
Now I get to go back into my life and question things.
Wow.
Pretty nice.
I can see why you like that. So good. So
I
good.
thought it was really powerful, the messages.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Well, we're pretty much at the top of the hour, Vivek. Thank you very much for sharing your stuff with us, for sharing a little bit of an insight into your background and into your work, both your photography, your different projects, and of course, your stuff for the Stock Film Festival. I hope that at some point again, we'll have you back and we'll do something else.
Sounds good.
That would be great for you to do that.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, you're great. Anything, just quickly, there was one comment that I found just while that was on, just towards the end there, that said that Vivek has the knack to grab your attention and doesn't let go. That's from Robert. So that's really, really lovely. So fantastic. Everybody's loved having you here. Loved seeing your work, finding out a bit more about you. Any closing words for everyone here?
Don't forget to have fun.
There we go. Perfect. Good one. So tomorrow, people, won't be me, but we've got some fab stuff for you tomorrow, as we have throughout the week, including towards the end of the week, another Timistified, I believe. So there you go. Who knows? Right. But for now, stay creative, stay safe, and see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
you.